What's going on, people, and welcome back. Today we're talking compressors. I'm going to show you what compressors you should be using on your drill and UK rap vocals. I'm going to show you the settings to use, and I'm going to explain kind of what those settings do. All right. Now, I'm guessing most of us don't really know what we're doing when slapping compressors on vocals. Like I'm someone that took years to kind of just take a step back and actually research what the hell all of these controls are doing. I was just slapping that bad boy on my vocals just because that's what you do in it. But let's get out of that habit, man. Let's start doing things with a purpose. All right? So, I'm going to get a bit nerdy on you for a couple of minutes, but stay with me. Stay with me. Let's get this up. Right. So this is a little diagram I've drawn. Let's say this is our vocal, right? And pick up everyone who knows what website this is. This is our vocal, right? And on most compressors, we have a few settings. We have the threshold, attack, release, and sometimes more often than not, a gain. So let's pretend this is our threshold here, the white line, and this is our vocal. So what we do is we bring down the threshold, and then the compressor compresses everything that's above it. All right. And that's done by the ratio you set it to. So on a compressor, typically you'll have like a 4-to-1 ratio, 8-to-1 ratio, 10-to-1 ratio. And that's just basically telling it, right, I want you to compress everything above this line by a 4-to-1 ratio, which could leave it looking like this maybe. Or 8-to-1, which is like this. Now, it's not a limiter. A limiter is just going to brick wall it and just stop it from ever going above that threshold. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to compress it. And what that does is level out your signal. So if it's a vocal, it gets a lot more consistent. So these peaks are going to be closer to these lows down here. But not only that, compressors also, and the way compressors work, they also bring out textures and characteristics of a voice, of a vocal. So if you've got someone with a gravelly vocal like Abs or that other guy, it's going to really emphasize that gravel in their voice. Or if you've got someone with a high pitched voice, but you want them to have a little bit more bass in there, compressors can help with that too. But that also can bring problems down the line when things start getting harsh and things like that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. The other controls on compressors are the attack and release. So I think I need to maximize this. So our attack and our release are how quick the compressor engages or starts compressing and how quick it stops compressing, right? So if you've got a fast attack and a fast release, the compression is going to look something like this. That last line was a bit mad, but you get the point. It activates quickly and then it comes off quickly. Maybe not that quickly, but yeah. If we've got a slow attack and a slow release, our compressor is going to come on a lot slower. It's going to activate like this. I'm trying to do this with a trackball, which is really difficult, but you get the point. So what that leaves us with, if you've got this slow attack, this stuff at the beginning, the first syllable, I guess, or the first transient of a vocal or whatever the signal is going to be a lot more punchier than this stuff back here that's getting compressed, because this is going to be louder now than this back here. So if you've got a kick drum that needs to punch a little bit more, you can do that. Or even if you need a vocal that needs to be more energetic and stand out, that's something you can do as well. All right, so let's stop drawing and all of that shit and let's get over to Pro Tools. So how can we use this with our vocals? Now, typically you'll see on my videos and on a lot of other people's videos, you'll probably see them using 2, 3, or even 4 compressors. And that's not for no reason, all right? We're going to have one compressor for dimension leveling. What you're going to see a lot of the time is people use like a 3 attack and a 7 release. And that's because that's a fast enough attack that we're getting that leveling that we want, but it's not completely dead in the dynamics, because we still want it to be human. We still want it to be a dynamic vocal. So we leave that room for it to be dynamic, but then we're leveling it out with usually a 4-to-1 ratio. 4-to-1 ratio. And as far as gain reduction goes, I usually, if I've recorded the vocal and I've done it on a good mic with good preamp and it's just a really good recording, then I'm not afraid to just beat this thing. I'm not afraid to do like minus 10 decibels of reduction or something like that. But if someone sent me some stems and the recording's a little bit harsh, or maybe they recorded a little bit hot, so it's not a great, like a solid recording, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative and do something like 4 to 6 decibels. And that's because, like I mentioned before, when you start compressing things, all of those little discrepancies are going to be emphasized. So if you've got a bad recording and you're compressing the hell out of it, all of the crud is going to come out and be more noticeable. So that's just a little tip. You've got to use your discretion a little bit on there. But me personally, I like to do minus 10 on my vocals when, I've got a good recording. Then, you might put an EQ and a de-esser between them, but the second compressor, and like I said, we're not just going to be stacking these compressors one after the other. You're going to have to use your initiative and decide what you want in between them, etc., etc., etc. So the second compressor, we're using this one for body. All right, we want to bring out that body in our vocal because you man know I like body. You get me? If you know what I'm saying. So we're not really worried about leveling on this. So we're going to do a slower attack and a slower release. And that way we're just getting that body out. And we're using compressors like this CL1B, or we've got some more here. The Distress is a really good one, or the Black 1176. Both of these are available with waves, and I think they've even got a version of this too. These compressors really emphasize the low end of whatever you're putting through there: bass, kick drums, vocals. So if you need that body in your vocal, and that's what we're aiming for with our drill vocals, we're going to have this on a slowish attack and a slow release, 4-to-1 ratio again. This time, we're doing about minus 3 to minus 4 decibels of reduction. And then finally, if I'm feeling spicy, not all the time, but if I'm feeling spicy, I might put a CLA 2A on there in limiter mode. All right, and on here, we don't have that many knobs or anything like that. We just got a gain and a peak reduction. So you're pushing it up to get more compression. And I'll just do minus 1. And that's not all the time, but it's just if it needs it. If there are things that are really peaking and I just want to control those super transient parts, I'll slap one of these on at the end of my chain. But as you can see, all of these compressors look a little bit different. This one's got the peak reduction. This one, you turn up the threshold instead of pull down the threshold. This one, you pull down the threshold. So it is going to take, you're going to have to do a little bit of your own work to really, really get confident and comfortable using all of these different compressors. The VMR ones have input, so you push the input in. So the threshold is fixed, and you push your signal into the compressor, and then it does the gain reduction. You've got the same controls here, 3, 7, things like that. Or you've got the RVOX. Now the RVOX is cool because there's just a compression knob. You bring down the threshold and it starts compressing. And this, from what I feel like it's fast compressor. I feel like it's got a fast release. So if your vocal is lacking some energy, if you've got a grime track and you really want it to hit hard, or someone's spitting on a drill beat but doing it double time, but it's just not popping how you want it to, the RVOX is really good for that. Or you can do it yourself and do something like this. So it's really letting the transients through. Sorry, my mouth just stopped working there. Really letting the transients through and just catching the tail end of the vocals of the signal. If, as well, this is something else I do, if I'm feeling like, the vocal is good, it's got a good level, it's got body, but I just want it to sound a little bit more compressed. Because, with drill, sometimes you want it to sound, you want it to sound a little bit compressed. I've got my three, the R compressor, the Tube Tech, and the CLA 2A on there, but I just feel like it just needs a little bit more of a compressed sound. I'll either put some distortion on there, maybe, or some saturation, or I'll stick this compressor here on there and do a 3-to-1 ratio and something like that, and just do another -3 decibels of gain reduction. These are extreme. That's a lot of compression. Now, if you've got 4 compressors on there, that's a lot of compression. But you do what sounds good at the end of the day. If it adds to the track, then do it. That's what I say. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of what I would suggest. I would suggest one compressor to level, get your plosives under control, get the really transient parts of the vocal under control. Then a compressor for body, and you want to use compressors that are good for that kind of thing. So the Tube Tech is a good one, or the Distressor 1176. There's probably more that I'm forgetting. And then if it needs it, CLA 2A to just limit it, just to you want to do -1 decibels of gain reduction. You can use a limiter. I've seen people use limiters on vocals before. I personally don't like it, but again, it's something that I want you to experiment with and see what works for you. And let me know in the comments below. Thank you, as always, for watching. Drop me a like if you enjoyed this, if you found it useful. Subscribe if you haven't already. These videos come out. At the moment, I'm aiming to put a video out every week / every 2 weeks. And that's just so I don't run out of content and I can stay consistent. So if you're not subscribed and you keep coming across my videos, then you just need to hit that subscribe button, man. There's no reason not to. All right, guys, I'm signing out, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.